our responsibility is to point out that in this way he would be actually not just harming Canadians who work so well with the United States. Donald Trump, when he makes statements like that, he plans on carrying them out. There's no question about it.
Trudeau's secret mission to Mar-a-Lago just blew the lid off everything. The PM's surprise visit to Trump wasn't just a casual drop-in, it was a desperate attempt to save Canada's economy from total disaster. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
That we can do things together, we can create opportunities and growth and good jobs on both sides of the border by being the partners and allies we've been for decades. He'd actually be raising prices for American citizens as well and hurting American industry and businesses. But there are ways for us to work together to demonstrate, as we did years before.
With Trump's tariff threat hanging over our heads like a giant anvil, Trudeau had no choice but to make his move. But what really went down behind those fancy Mar-a-Lago doors? The shocking details will leave you stunned. Trudeau's plane touched down in Florida, shrouded in secrecy. The Canadian Prime Minister wasn't here for a sunny vacation. This was a high-stakes mission to save Canada's economy from disaster. Accompanied by a small team, including Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, Trudeau arrived at Mar-a-Lago with the weight of a nation on his shoulders. LeBlanc's presence spoke volumes. As the overseer of Canada's border services and national police, his inclusion hinted at the gravity of the situation. The reason for this covert operation: Trump's looming threat of a 25% tariff on Canadian goods.
What it requires is, first of all, a Team Canada approach, which we put together last time, where we started putting together the Team Canada approach earlier this year. We're going to work together to meet some of the concerns and respond to some of the issues, but ultimately it is through lots of constructive, real conversations with President Trump that I'm going to have that will keep us moving forward on the right, where premiers, where labor leaders, where business leaders all come together to demonstrate that things go best for the United States when things go well at the Canada-US border.
With over 77% of Canada's exports destined for the US, such a move could devastate the Canadian economy. Trudeau knew he had to act fast and decisively. As the Canadian delegation entered Mar-a-Lago's opulent dining room, the tension was palpable. The golden chandeliers and ornate decor seemed to mock the gravity of the situation. Nervous Canadian officials exchanged glances, acutely aware of the enormous stakes riding on this dinner. But it wasn't just Trudeau and Trump at the table. Key Trump allies joined the gathering, including Howard Lutnick, Mike Waltz, and Doug Burgum, all poised for top positions in a potential new Trump administration. Their presence added another layer of complexity to an already delicate situation, as servers bustled around with plates of exquisite cuisine. The real menu was far from appetizing. Trade agreements, border security, and economic stability were all on the chopping block.
We sell them oil, we sell them electricity, we sell them critical minerals and metals. The energy the United States imports from Canada is more important today than ever, are absolutely essential as North America and as the US seeks to develop supply chains which are resilient and secure at a time when we see how hungry AI is for energy and Canada's critical minerals and metals.
Trudeau hoped to convince Trump that imposing tariffs would harm both economies, not just Canada's. The Canadian team came prepared. LeBlanc was ready to draft tougher border measures, including deploying additional staff and technology. It was a clear signal to Trump Canada was taking his concerns seriously and was willing to act. But as the dinner progressed, the big question remained, would Trump budge on his demands? Could Trudeau pull off the impossible and save Canada's economy in just one dinner? The fate of millions of Canadians hung in the balance, all riding on this secret Mar-a-Lago meeting. As Trudeau engaged in high-stakes diplomacy at Mar-a-Lago, a different kind of drama was unfolding back in Canada. Chrystia Freeland stepped up to the podium, ready to face the press. But what happened next left reporters stunned and Canadians questioning their government's competence. The tension in the room was electric as journalists fired off questions about Canada's tariff strategy. With Trump's 25% tariff threat looming over the country like a dark cloud, everyone was desperate for answers. But Freeland seemed determined to dance around the issues, leaving reporters more frustrated with each evasive response. Just when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, Freeland dropped a bombshell that had jaws hitting the floor. In a moment that will go down in political history, she actually brought up rotisserie chicken. Yes, you heard that right. As Canadians worried about the economy crumbling around them, Freeland declared, "I've heard from so many working moms that being able to pick up prepared food, at the end of the day, being able to afford that rotisserie chicken is a real gift." The backlash was swift and merciless. Social media exploded with ridicule.
It was an opportunity to highlight the fact that the economic relationship between Canada and the United States is balanced and mutually beneficial, larger than China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. It is also the case that the things we sell to the United States are the things they really need.
Amemure and opposition leaders pounced on this tone-deaf comment as proof of how out of touch the government had become. While Trudeau was trying to save the economy, Freeland was busy turning a press conference into a comedy routine, but the rotisserie chicken fiasco was just the appetizer. The main course of controversy was yet to come. As questions turned to the digital services tax, a major sticking point in US-Canada relations, Freeland's refusal to budge sent shockwaves through the political landscape. With Trump already on the warpath, her stubbornness threatened to pour gasoline on an already raging fire. Critics from all sides tore into Freeland's performance. Opposition parties accused the Liberals of economic mismanagement.
To have a tax break over the holidays, and that working Canadians are going to be able to get a little bit more support with affordability. It's what our country needs right now. I'd like to start, though, by sharing some good news about our economy. Inflation fell to 2.7% in April, down from 2.9% in March. On Thursday, we had a good conversation today at Cabinet about that, and we are really glad that Canadians are going to have this opportunity.
While business leaders warned of dire consequences if the government couldn't get its act together. As the dust settled on this PR disaster, one question loomed large. How would Freeland's fumbles impact Trudeau's delicate negotiations with Trump? With Canada's economic future hanging in the balance, the pressure on the Prime Minister to clean up this mess just got a whole lot heavier. Trudeau's secret Mar-a-Lago dinner with Trump is a shocking gamble that could make or break Canada's future. With the threat of crippling tariffs hanging over our heads, the Prime Minister is playing a dangerous game of high-stakes diplomacy. Experts warn that if Trump follows through on his 25% tariff threat, it could devastate Canadian industries and lead to massive job losses. But Trudeau's not backing down without a fight. This explosive meeting could be his last chance to save Canada from economic disaster. Will his desperate plea sway Trump, or will it backfire spectacularly? The fate of millions of Canadian workers hangs in the balance as these two leaders face off over fancy Mar-a-Lago cuisine. One thing's for sure. The outcome of this secret dinner will send shockwaves through Canada's economy for years to come. Brace yourselves for the fallout, because this high-stakes showdown is about to change everything.